Welcome back to the channel, my fellow pirates. Today we will return once again to the world of X-Men, and we will be discussing one of my early favorites from the series, Remy LeBeau, otherwise known as Gambit. I was really excited to get to Gambit because alongside Nightcrawler, he is one of my favorite childhood favorites due to his powers and awesome Cajun accent. Plus, we couldn't go on talking about Gambit without mentioning his Southern Belle sweetheart, who we've already mentioned and talked about on the channel, Rogue. So let's go ahead and take a look at his history and origins of the mutant we know as Gambit. Gambit, born as Remy LeBeau, is one of the most enigmatic members of the X-Men, known for his Cajun charm, moral ambiguity, and the mastery of kinetic energy. His early life was shrouded in mystery and crime, beginning with his abandonment as an infant in New Orleans. He was taken by the Thieves Guild, a powerful crime organization operating within the city's underworld. Raised among thieves, Remy was trained in stealth, agility, and the sleight of hand, shaping him into an elite master thief long before he was a superhero. As he grew older, Remy discovered his mutant ability to charge objects with kinetic energy, causing them to explode upon impact. This power would perfectly complement his natural dexterity, leading to his signature use of playing cards as weapons. Despite his talents, Remy's life took a turn when he became caught in the long-standing feud between the Thieves Guild and the rival Assassin's Guild. In an attempt to unite the two factions, Remy entered a politically arranged marriage, but the plan ended in tragedy, deepening his guilt and reinforcing his status as an outsider. Remy's path eventually crossed with Mr. Sinister, a turning point that would haunt him for years. Sinister manipulated Gambit into assembling a team of mutants to infiltrate Morlock tunnels beneath New York. Unaware of Sinister's true intentions, Gambit unknowingly played a role in the Morlock Massacre, one of the darkest events in mutant history. The weight of this secret would come to define much of Gambit's internal struggle as he carried immense guilt while striving for redemption. Seeking a new purpose, Gambit joined the X-Men after helping a young Storm survive New Orleans. Though initially distrusted due to his shady past and secretive nature, Gambit slowly earned his place on the team through loyalty and bravery. His complicated romance with Rogue would become a defining aspect of his character, as their deep emotional connection was consistently tested by Rogue's inability to physically touch others without harming them. Their relationship added vulnerability and humanity to Gambit's roguish persona. Over time, Gambit evolved from a self-serving thief into a hero willing to sacrifice himself for others. He faced his past head-on when his role in the Morlock Massacre was revealed, enduring judgment from his teammates, yet ultimately choosing accountability over running away. Gambit's story is one of redemption, identity, and choice. A man shaped by crime and guilt who continually strives to do the right thing, proving that even the most flawed individuals can become heroes. Now we're at the part of the video where I discuss my personal thoughts and opinions of the character. Now, how was I introduced to Gambit? Well, I think like everybody else, if you watched any reruns of the animated 97 series, that's how I was introduced. I didn't really watch any of the X-Men Origins films. I didn't watch too much of some of the other medias where he showed up at either. I did watch Deadpool and Wolverine. That's actually one of the other things that I actually enjoyed about the movie, the way that they handled Gambit, although I don't like some of the stuff he says. If you know me, if you've heard my opinions on certain things, I'm not a big fan of dirty humor. But they really handled his character well, and I'm glad we get to see more of that version of Gambit. But it was mainly how I was introduced. It was through the X-Men animated series that I got a taste of like who this guy was. His abilities were cool. He could throw playing cards and blow things up. He had this crazy, amazing Cajun accent. And later on, and we'll talk about this in the next question, when I got introduced to his origins, I'm like, oh wow, there's a lot more here than I thought. Like, no wonder he acts a certain way. It's very interesting. And so this brings us to our next question. What do I enjoy about this character? It is not only moral ambiguity, not only the very, how can I say, the suave nature that he has, but this very likable, like he's like a character you'd think you would hate, but he just reverses it and has this charm about him. And that's the kind of character that he is. That's how he was taught. That's how he was made to be. He's made to be charming. He's made to be this guy that you're supposed to like. Or get the right person angry, because some people don't like that kind of character. And that really makes Gambit Gambit. He's the guy that'll annoy the guy that can see past. Well, not say see past the mask, but more like the guy that's like, oh, I don't like you. It's, you see, like, for instance, there's a clip I saw between, I think it's Wolverine and the X-Men. Haven't watched that, heard it's a good show. And it's a clip between him and Wolverine, and just Wolverine is just getting annoyed with him. It's like, please stop. And he's trying to fight him, and he's just being this overly charming dude. You see, it doesn't really work. Like, those kind of two characters, because, like, Wolverine has that kind of charm to him, but that, like, gruff charm, you know what I mean? Lumberjack charm, while Remy LeBeau has this, I'm gonna steal your wallet while trying to talk to you kind of charm, which is really cool. And not only did the Cajun accent work, it really works for me because it just adds on upon his character and connects him back to his past. It just adds so much more to the character. I like his powers, of course. You can do a whole lot with that, and not just with the playing cards. It's really interesting. And his dynamic with Rogue, where it's just this struggle, it's this almost forbidden-esque love, which I mentioned in the Rogue video, and I'll mention this again. I'm not a fan of Romeo and Juliet. I think it's one of the worst written stories ever. Do not at me on that. It's a sucky story, especially the way it ends. I'm not going to talk about that if y'all haven't read it. But for many of you who had, the ending sucks. It is such a stupid story, but I'm not going to get into that. That's just semantics at this point. So I guess that also transitions us to, what do I not enjoy about the character? Nothing really gets grading for me when it comes to Gambit. I think the only thing that I really don't like, and I guess it's more of a nitpick, and I'm trying, guys. I'm not saying he's a perfect character, because he's not. Hey, matter of fact, you tell me what you don't like about Gambit, and I'll take a look at what you say, because honestly, I like having conversations with other folks. I really do. And so I guess I gotcha. If he's not handled correctly. And one of the things that I don't like is when you don't really understand the character, like they did in X-Men Wolverine, or X-Men Origins Wolverine, where we got to briefly meet him, and they don't really, I mean, they got the powers and the abilities down, but like he's kind of, I don't know, it didn't feel like Gambit. It just felt like somebody just putting on a costume. Like something was missing. Like he didn't have that charm. He didn't have that thing. They made him more of a hothead. Like when they misunderstand the character, it just doesn't work. I could be wrong. Look, I'm fine with being wrong. I'm okay with being wrong. Heck, I will both raise my hand and feet and tell you I'm wrong. I'm a human being. I'm gonna get things wrong all the time. I mean, heck, I'll give you an example. The Sanji video I did a while back. Apparently, it wasn't in the History and Origins. It wasn't 8 days. It was like over like several days, more like 70 to 80 days, 85 to be exact. And I'm like, oh crap, I didn't realize what I did there, and I was wrong about that. So point being, I'm not going to get everything right. And so when it comes to this character, and everybody's not going to get it right with this character, it's just like the way, if you're handling him correctly, if you don't understand the character, it's like you have to have that charm. If you don't have that, it doesn't work. If you give him a whole other personality, it doesn't work. And it's strange. It's strange to see somebody like call themselves Gambit, but not be Gambit in nature. It's more like, okay, it's this guy that gets upset just because you said the wrong thing to him. I'm like, that's Wolverine. That's literally what Wolverine is. He's like, if you say the wrong thing to him, it's gonna get him mad. Why would you do that? And I don't know. I mean, that's really, I'm kind of grasping for straws here. If you guys got some stuff that you don't like about him, let me know in the comments down below. And so this brings us to our next question. Is it cool to see him getting more attention through other media? I'm like, yeah. Seriously, it's nice. It's nice to see him get some more attention through the reboot / sequel to the X-Men 97 series, to allow him to, and you know what, I'm going to avoid spoilers, but the way that they handle him, he's basically the same guy. The voice actor who does him does very well. The scene between him and Rogue near the end of the season was, that broke my heart. That was so hard to watch. Just listening to this back and forth between them, it felt real. It felt like between two real people, and it just, oh man, it was something else. And then, of course, as mentioned before, I saw him in Wolverine and Deadpool. He was handled really well there. He had a great costume. Channing Tatum did a really good job, despite the dirty humor, but that's just a Deadpool film. And y'all know my opinion on Deadpool. I don't like Deadpool. And yes, I'm more than aware he was announced for Rivals. I've been waiting for that to happen. I'm not surprised. I don't think anybody else is surprised either, at all. But I digress. Also seeing Gambit in Rivals. I actually got to test him out a little bit in the practice arena. He's a little different than I expected. Like, he has all the powers that I expected he'd have. He's able to use his cards in different ways. He's a support class hero, I think. I think he's mostly used for buffing and debuffs for enemies, and of course he can use his bow staff. He's a little strange. I would have to get a better idea of how to actually play him, because I think that's how he's like a buff and debuff character and not a healing character. He might be a healing character. I don't know, because it's like we got a support character like early on when we got Ultron, and he did healing, but he was also kind of like he didn't. It's like he didn't have the best healing, I mean, but I'm not going to get into that. I'm no Marvel Rivals expert. This is based on like stuff that I've watched and stuff that I've played through. That being said, it's really interesting to finally see this character get more and more attention, and I'm happy that we get to see more of him. But that brings us to our next and final question for this section. What do I hope to see for the future of Gambit? I hope to see closure for him. Some form of closure for him. Whether it comes to Rogue, whether it comes to... Because I know they're married in the comics. From what I understand, I know they're married in the comics. Some sort of closure for him. Something to help him be not just better, but give him a better way of thinking. Do you become, I don't know, somebody else's influence to be that one step further, a hero that's able to leave a good example? Because he's not perfect. He's not perfect at all. Mind you, that flawed characters are always going to be flawed. That's what makes a good character, is the reflection of humanity. It's the idea of flawedness in everyone. And so having this quality of being an influence on someone, like having him pick up, because like if there's anything that X-Men does well is being able to create mentor figures for younger mutants. And I'd like to see something like that, have a mentor role for him. Have a, and they've probably already done it, I could be wrong, but it's like, I'd like to see him in that role and do it in his own flavor, on top of possibly having some kids with Rogue, if they're able to, because I don't know how that's going to work, especially with how her touch kills people if she touches them too long. So I don't know, they could figure out a way. I don't know. Superhero comics have a lot of weird plot threads and plot holes. They'll figure out something. I don't know. It's been happening since like the early 80s to the late 90s. It's been plot holes and all that. Anyway, I think it's just, I'm hoping just for more of a engaging story to tell and a closure that brings him to a better place in the world of X-Men.
You know how long I've been waiting for this? Woo, I'm about to make a name for myself here.
Gambit is one of those characters for me that is very hard not to like. Even when he's in the opposite side of the X-Men, he has a very laid-back and charming nature that gives him that classic Master Thief quality, similar to another famous Master Thief from a certain gaming franchise from the PS2 era. You can clearly see this archetype carries across other media in different forms, and I wouldn't doubt for a second that those characters were influenced, at least in part, by the man or the mutant known as Gambit. Thank you for joining me today, crew. We finally got to Gambit. I know it took a bit, mainly due to me catching a little cold or a flu, but we're back on track now. But up next will be another part in the Peak playthrough with my buddy Gollum. Hopefully he and I can make it through Roots eventually. With that being said, thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of the Bernhardt Pirate Brigade, make sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell for notifications for more discussions and other content just like this. This is the Captain signing off. I bid you adieu. I'm out. Peace.